The 2023 season is right around the corner, and today on the Commanders Report, I'm going to be breaking down Pro Football Focus's 2023 season preview for your Washington Commanders. But before I get into that, do me a favor and click that subscribe button because Pro Football Focus makes you pay for this premium content. We're giving it to you guys 100% free. If you want to become an expert on your Washington Commanders this season, do me a favor, click that subscribe button right now. All right, so now on the latest power rankings that Pro Football Focus has put out on their website, they have ranked the Washington Commanders roster 18th in the National Football League, so slightly below average. And they went over in an extensive article here, their season preview for the Commanders, where they went over a bunch of different categories. And that first category here is their biggest strength, which they think is the Commanders' secondary. Now, I definitely think the Commanders' secondary, cornerbacks, safeties, really solid heading into 2023. They definitely made some upgrades in the cornerback room. I really liked what Kendall Fuller did last season with multiple interceptions and multiple pick sixes at that. Benjamin St-Juste has really taken it to it this offseason, really done a great job getting himself ready and establishing himself as a bona fide starter in this lineup. And then, of course, the first-round pick, Emmanuel Forbes, has looked absolutely locked down here to start the 2023 preseason. Now it's looking like he's going to try to make that transition into the regular season. I have all the confidence in the world with him. And then also in that second round, you get Jartavius Martin out of the University of Illinois, who I am super excited to see play. And then you go over to the safeties. I really like Derek Forrest, man. I think he's one of the most underrated safeties in the National Football League. He is always flying around. He is always making plays. And then also you got Cameron Curl, who was the second highest graded safety in the National Football League last year, according to Pro Football Focus. Also really like the depth here with Percy Butler, who I trust as a free safety in case Forrest goes down. Jartavius Martin can play there as well. And then you got the Pro Bowl special teamer, Jeremy Reeves, as your backup strong safety. Really like the depth, really like the talent here in the secondary. But personally for me, I think that it's kind of obvious here that the biggest strength for the Commanders defensively is their pass rush. Their starting defensive line is completely made up of first-round picks, and you can see that with the talent there with Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and Montez Sweat. Chase Young has looked fantastic in training camp and in preseason. Has been dealing with a stinger, hasn't really done any contact stuff since that Cleveland Browns preseason game there in the first week of the preseason, but he's somebody that's been super impressive to this point in training camp and to this point in the process. It's looking like he's going to have a shot to play in week 1 versus the Cardinals, and he needs to have a big breakout season. And based on everything that I'm hearing, I expect that 100%. And I definitely think that this unit here is going to be the bread and butter for Jack Del Rio there on defense this season. Now, fill in the blank for me down there in the comments section. The Commanders will have a top blank pass rush in 2023. Will it be top 10? Will it be top 5? Maybe top 3? Or is it maybe top 1? Do they have the best pass rush in the National Football League? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. Take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Now on to our next category here, which is the biggest weakness, and Pro Football Focus says that it's going to be the quarterback play. That's right, they're ripping on our guy Sam Howell, man. And listen, Sam, there's definitely a chance that Sam doesn't work out, right? 5th-round pick last year. You know, he's somebody that's been mired with inconsistencies, even going back to the University of North Carolina. However, I liked what I've seen from him during the preseason. He looks a lot more comfortable. He looks like he's getting through his reads nicely here. Eric Bieniemy, the new offensive coordinator, is giving him a system that's pretty easy to operate, to be quite honest with you. It's a very QB-friendly system, and Sam seems like he's taken every single step necessary here during the offseason to prove himself as a true franchise quarterback in this league. Pro Football Focus seems pretty darn sure Sam Howell is going to stink, and although that's a possibility, I'm not quite ready to go there just yet. And because of that, my biggest weakness here heading into the 2023 campaign is going to be the offensive line, and I don't really even think it's close. On paper, this is one of the worst offensive line units in the National Football League. Okay, man, I'm trying to give you guys an objective analysis here, and if I'm being completely fair and honest, This unit kind of stinks, man. You got Sadiq Charles as your starting left guard. Nick Gates has not been a particularly good NFL starting center. You got him as your starter. He's also been mired by injury. Sam Cosmi, is he going to really make a smooth transition from tackle to guard, being 6'7"? If you're as tall as that, it's really hard to have the leverage advantage on the inside, which is so important for a guard. And then Andrew Wiley, Charles Leno Jr., both guys that are kind of uninspiring athletes, but they're pretty darn good in their technique. Those guys are fine, but when you put that all together, you don't have a fantastic unit, at least on paper. Now, hopefully this unit can build some cohesion. They can be good enough for Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy to put up points on offense this year. And I really do think that we're going to be talking about this offensive line as a very, very important piece to the Commanders' success in 2023. Now, coming up here on the Commanders Report, I'm going to give you what Pro Football Focus thinks is going to be the X factor for the Washington Commanders season in 2023. But before I get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor at BetUS, and they're offering you guys a fantastic deal just in time for the 2023 NFL season, a 125% deposit bonus when you go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code CHAT125. Now, what does that mean, deposit bonus? It means that if you put in a deposit of $100 to $600, you're going to get 125% of that money back to you to use on your bet. So if you put in $100, they're going to give you $125 additional dollars. And why not use that $225 on that Washington Commanders versus Arizona Cardinals football game there in week 1? If you want to do that, you can go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code CHAT125 today to get that 125% deposit bonus. Now, Pro Football Focus's X factor heading into the year is edge rusher Chase Young. And I can understand why they have Chase as that X factor. Of course, he's coming into a big year. He's going to be a free agent here coming up in 2024. He needs to have a big season if he's going to remain a Washington Commander for the long haul. There's no doubt about that. But for me personally, man, I think that the X factor is going to be the offensive line. Now, I know I'm being redundant here. I know that I just had that as my biggest weakness. But here's the thing, man. In the National Football League, if you don't have a good offensive line, you can't create run lanes for your running backs, and you can't protect your quarterback. If you can't do those two things, the foundation of your building is going to completely collapse. So you need to have a good offensive line. And if we can look at this offensive depth chart again, I've been saying it for weeks. This group needs at least one other member to come in, whether it's Ben Jones, whether it's Dalton Reisner. I really, really do not trust Sadiq Charles and Nick Gates there on the left side enough to really feel confident going into the 2023 season. Now, I hope to God here, as a Commanders fan, that they can absolutely prove me wrong and that they can overcome the stigma that they're going into this season with. But just on paper, based on what we know about these players right now, this is going to be a major issue if it doesn't get fixed. And, like I said, guys, I know I'm being redundant. I know I keep talking about the offensive line, but the only reason why I do that is because it is a major problem. And if they can't protect the quarterback, if they can't create run lanes for Brian Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson this year, it's going to be rough sledding here for Eric Bieniemy in his first year as offensive coordinator. There's a reason why teams that are rebuilding start in the trenches, because that's where football games in the National Football League are won and lost. And right now, the offensive line is definitely the biggest weakness, and they need to be at least adequate in this season if the Commanders want to compete in a loaded NFC East Conference and make the playoffs in the NFC this season. Now, before we get into the rest of today's show, do me a favor real quick. If you want to help us out here at the Commanders Report, go ahead and click that thumbs up icon. We really do appreciate it. Now let's get into the next topic here, which is a rookie to watch. And Pro Football Focus says you should be keeping your eye on first-round rookie cornerback Emmanuel Forbes, and I absolutely agree with this, man. Emmanuel is somebody that is, in my opinion, one of the favorites to be Defensive Rookie of the Year. You look back at his stats there with the Mississippi State Bulldogs over the last couple of seasons, an NCAA record 6 pick sixes in his career. He had 6 interceptions last year in his final season there with the Bulldogs. He took 3 of them to the house. So not only does he have the playmaking instincts, not only does he have the acceleration to get to the football, but he's got the return ability to, when he has the football, to take it to the end zone. That's an absolutely incredible skill set to have as somebody. And, the big knock on him is that he's small, right? 166 pounds. He's a pretty skinny guy. But the thing is, he's going to be playing in off coverage, so he's not going to get bullied as much by the bigger receivers. He's going to be allowed to keep his eyes on the quarterback in the zone-heavy scheme and really use those instincts and that acceleration and those ball skills to his advantage. I think it's a perfect fit here between him and the Washington Commanders defense. I can't wait to see him work, and that's why he's my rookie to watch as well. This is something that I absolutely agree with Pro Football Focus on. Emmanuel Forbes is going to be an absolute star, in my opinion, in this defensive system, and I can't wait to see if he can win Defensive Rookie of the Year here in 2023. But let me know what you guys think about the rookie out of Mississippi State down there in the comments section. Will he win Defensive Rookie of the Year? There's lots of good rookies this year. What are the chances that Emmanuel Forbes is on the top of that list? Give me a yes or a no to that question down there in the comments section. Let me know what you guys think. And then we got one more here, which is the over-under on wins. And right now, Pro Football Focus at just 6.5 wins. They say the Commanders are going to be under that figure. This is what they had to say in their article. There's a lot to like about Washington's roster. They have everything you need to be a playoff team except the quarterback. They won't carry the advantage in that department most weeks with Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett. Now, and then they continue to say here, they play 10 games against 2022 playoff teams, plus tough road games against the Jets, Patriots, and Broncos. It'll be tough to scratch out low-scoring wins week to week. Now, I would disagree with Pro Football Focus's analysis here. I'm not necessarily going to be sitting up here and say confidently, yes, they're going to get to at least 7 wins. But I think there's at least a decent chance. We've seen a bunch of stuff go wrong with this organization over the last couple of years, and Ron Rivera has kept this team above that figure of 6.5 wins his entire time here in Washington. Just last season, 7 wins, right? He got to the playoffs with 9 wins, right? This is something where I'm looking at the Washington Commanders' future and what's going to happen here, and I think at least they are going to be a competitive football team this year. I think the quarterback play is going to be better. The offensive line, I think, is really going to be the crux of whether or not this team can make the playoffs, because I really do think this defense is going to be fantastic. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see. So if I have to guess right now, I think the Commanders get over 6.5 wins. Now, are the Commanders playoff bound? Let me know right now in the comments section. Will Washington make the playoffs here in 2023? Type P if you think they're going to be making the playoffs, or type NP if you don't think they're going to make the playoffs. All right, so we're getting into the 2023 season here, and because of that, Chat Sports has made a couple of new hires, and we have a new hire to kind of announce to you guys here today on the Commanders Report. Say hello to Allie. She's brand new here at Chat Sports. She's a big Commanders fan. She's going to be helping us out here on the channel. She's rocking the Redskins sweater today, just a complete OG right there. So she's going to be joining me on probably a couple of our live watch parties, and she's going to begin her transition here to hopefully eventually take over this channel. So big shout out to Allie, and make sure you click that subscribe button here right now to the Commanders Report, because we're going to be having you guys covered with everything there is to know about the Washington Commanders here during the 2023 season. So really do appreciate all the support, guys. I will see you guys later, and as always, hail to the Commanders.